There is a moment in every man's life that nobody warns you is coming. It's not the first time you fail. It's not the first time you lose something important. It's that specific moment where you are doing everything right, making the right decisions, walking in the right direction, and yet something feels deeply wrong. As if the ground beneath your feet is solid, but you can't stop looking down expecting to sink. This moment has a name in psychology. It's called the transformation threshold, and it is literally the most uncomfortable place a human being can inhabit. You are not broken. You are in the antechamber of the best chapter of your life. But the problem is that the antechamber has no windows, no Wi-Fi, and most men flee it before understanding what it came to teach. I need you to stay with me through this, because what I'm going to show you here will change the way you see every difficult period in your story, including what you are living right now. There is a concept called cognitive dissonance. In simple terms, it's when two things you believe come into direct conflict with each other. And do you know what generates the most cognitive dissonance in a man's life? It's when he begins to grow on the inside, but the world around him still treats him as the old version of himself. You start changing your habits. You start reading more, waking up earlier, making different decisions. But your friends still expect the same guy as before. Your family still reacts the same way. And you get stuck in this strange state where you no longer belong to what you were, but you haven't yet arrived at what you are becoming. This generates a feeling that most men interpret as a sign they are on the wrong path. But it is exactly the opposite. That internal tension, that discomfort of no longer knowing completely who you are, that is the symptom that you are truly growing. Because real growth is not comfortable. Real growth hurts. And the pain you feel when you are questioning everything is not weakness. It is your nervous system reorganizing itself to support a heavier version of you. Think about it. A muscle only grows when subjected to greater tension than it is used to bearing. The process of muscle growth is literally the destruction of fibers and their reconstruction stronger. There is no other way. No shortcut. No way to gain muscle without going through the phase where the muscle is being destroyed. Now apply that to your emotional life, your relationships, your mindset. The moment where you are questioning everything is the moment where your fibers are being destroyed to be rebuilt stronger. And just like in the gym, whoever stops in the middle of the process doesn't stay the same as before. They get weaker because they interrupted the cycle without letting the reconstruction happen. This explains something many men experience, but few can name. The feeling that giving up in the middle of a transformation left them worse off than when they started. It's not an impression. It's real. It's physiological. It's psychological. You cannot exit a transformation halfway through and come out unscathed. Now I want to tell you something about the human brain that will change the way you handle uncertainty. Your brain has one primary function. It is not to make you happy. It is not to make you successful. The primary function of your brain is to keep you alive. And for that, it developed a threat detection system that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The problem is that this system does not know how to differentiate a physical threat from an emotional one. It does not know how to differentiate the danger of a lion from the danger of changing jobs, of ending a relationship that no longer serves you, of having a difficult conversation, of taking the next step. To your brain, uncertainty is a threat. And what do you do with threats? You flee or you fight. So when you are in the moment of questioning everything, your own brain is actively working against your transformation. It will manufacture doubts. It will create negative scenarios. It will amplify fears and minimize evidence of progress. Not because you are weak, but because it is doing exactly the job it was programmed to do thousands of years ago. Knowing this changes everything. Because when you understand that the voice saying, "You won't make it, this is crazy, go back to where you were," is not your intuition, it is your survival system in panic. You can observe that voice instead of obeying it. There is a psychologist named Viktor Frankl who survived Nazi concentration camps. He lost practically everything. His family, his freedom, the most productive years of his life. And in the middle of that absolute horror, he made a discovery that became the foundation of one of the most important schools of modern psychology. He realized that the last human freedom, the one no one can take from you, is the choice of how you will respond to what happens to you. Not what happens, the response. Men who went through the same extreme conditions behaved in completely opposite ways. Some became monsters. Others became saints. The difference was not the environment. It was the space that existed between the stimulus and the response, and what each one chose to do with that space. You are in that space right now. Something happened, or perhaps many things, and you are in the interval between what was and what will be. And the question that defines everything is not, why is this happening to me? The question that defines everything is, who do I choose to be in response to this? Here is a truth that few men have the courage to face. Most people do not change because they want to. They change because they have no choice left. Real transformation rarely begins with motivation. It begins with pain. It begins with the moment where staying the same became harder than changing. And that is not weakness. That is basic psychology. The human brain avoids change by default because change consumes energy. We are wired to conserve energy, to follow the same neural pathways, the same behavioral patterns, the same familiar routes. It is more efficient. It is safer. It is what kept us alive as a species. But the world has changed. And the man who stays locked in the same patterns because they are comfortable does not survive in this new environment. Not relationally, not professionally, not emotionally. So when life places you in a situation where questioning everything becomes inevitable, it is doing for you what you would rarely do on your own. It is creating the pressure necessary for change to happen. The universe does not punish the weak. It pressures those with unexplored potential. Think about your own story. Were the moments that most defined you as a man the easy moments, or the moments where you were put against the wall? Think about what taught you the most. The period when everything worked, or the period when everything fell apart? The answer is always the same. Not because suffering is romantically necessary, but because our greatest insights happen when we are forced to stop and look at what truly matters. When the noise of everyday life fades and what remains is the essential. And the essential, most of the time, is very different from what we thought it was. Let me tell you about something called post-traumatic growth. It is a phenomenon documented in hundreds of psychological studies. It describes the human capacity not only to recover from difficult events, but to grow beyond the point where one was before the event occurred. It is not resilience. Resilience is returning to the starting point. Post-traumatic growth is going further. It is the man who emerges from bankruptcy wiser about money and purpose than he ever would have been without it. It is the man who survives the end of a long relationship and understands for the first time what he truly needs in a partnership. It is the man who loses his job and discovers that he never should have been there in the first place. This is not the exception. This is the pattern. Studies show that most people who go through significantly difficult events report, with time, that the event was the most important positive turning point of their lives. With time. That is the part that the present moment does not allow you to see. When you are inside the questioning, perspective is impossible. It's like trying to read a book with your face pressed against the page. You need distance to see clearly, and distance is a function of time. So one of the most powerful things you can do right now, at this exact moment in your life, is write a letter to yourself. Not to the man you were, to the man you will be 2 years from now. Describe what you are feeling now. Describe the doubts, the fears, the questions that have no answers yet. And then write what you believe, even without certainty, that this moment is trying to teach you. This exercise does something neurologically powerful. It activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for long-term thinking, and partially deactivates the amygdala, which is the emotional alarm center. You literally change the state of your brain by shifting your temporal perspective. We are arriving at the most important point of everything I have told you today. The happiest chapter of your life will not come when all the problems disappear. It will not come when the uncertainty ends. It will not come when you finally have all the answers. The happiest chapter of your life will come when you become the man capable of building the life you want, regardless of external conditions. When you develop the internal structure of someone who does not need everything to be perfect in order to act, to love, to grow, to move forward. And that man is forged exactly where you are right now. In the questioning, in the doubt, in the dissonance, in the discomfort of not knowing exactly who you are becoming. Every man you admire, every story of real transformation that has ever inspired you, passed through this same place. Not a softened version of it. This exact place. With this same weight, with these same doubts, with this same feeling that the ground is shifting beneath their feet. And they did not become happy because they escaped this place. They became happy because they walked through it. The difference between the man who comes out the other side transformed and the man who spends the rest of his life avoiding transformation is not talent, not luck, not circumstance. It is the decision to stay. To stay in the discomfort long enough to learn what it came to teach. To stay in the questioning until the questions begin to transform into clarity. To stay in the process even when the process seems to have no end. Before the happiest chapter of your life, you will question everything. That is not a warning of danger. It is the most reliable sign that you are on the right path. Do not flee from where you are. What lies on the other side is worth every second of this crossing.